What's going on? Welcome to another live edition of Real Fans, Real Talk. We are back. We are officially back, and there's a lot going down in the sports world. And I know y'all want us to speak about it. Some things that we got to speak about, and we're gonna speak about it. All right, the NBA Finals is almost here. All right, we're gonna talk about the NBA Finals today. Uh, talk about the youngins. Caitlin Clark, she be getting roughed up in the WNBA these past couple of weeks, and a little bit of boxing news. Good friend of the show may have officially had his last fight this past week as well. The former WBC heavyweight champion of the world, Deontay Wilder. But before we get into all of that, let me introduce my co-host, my brother, Eric Sanchez, aka Legend in Two Games. What's going on, man?
My bad. What's really good, bro? As always, super excited to get to it. We got a lot to get into. We got to talk about that fight. I know, you don't want to say his name just yet, but we got to get into how that went down on Saturday. And then the finals. We're 2 days away from the start of the finals. So we got a lot to talk about.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We might as well jump right in. Get this NBA talk out of the way. The finals matchup is set. We have the Boston Celtics versus the Dallas Mavericks. Boston is the favorite right now going into this NBA Finals. But I am seeing a lot of people putting their money on Luca and on Kyrie to get the Finals MVP. So I think we got a series on our hands, and I'm loving it. Um, let's just get right into it, man. Who we taking in the series and why?
It's tough. I think it's a really, really good series. As I always say, styles make fights, and this is a great fight stylistically. Porzingis being limited, I know he's expected to play game one, but you got to remember he has not played any meaningful basketball in quite some time. And to jump into a series right in the NBA Finals is very difficult to match that intensity level. But I like Dallas for a couple of reasons. One, I just think that they have the guys that are proven to come and show up series by series. We've seen Tatum be up and down at times. We see Brown up and down at times. I know the Celtics have been the best team throughout the regular season and in these playoffs, but the Celtics really haven't been tested. And aside from injuries, the Celtics really haven't had to play a meaningful basketball game in over a month. It's been a while since they've had their back against the wall and had to play a meaningful, high intensity game. Whereas Dallas, every series is up the ante for them. The competition has got better for Dallas, and they've had to play tougher games, especially on the road, than Boston has had to encounter. So I really like Dallas in this series. I like Dallas. I'm saying six right now, Trip, but I like Dallas a lot to win this series.
I mean, I can't even fathom myself even fixing my face to say the Celtics win this series. Like I'm just disgusted even saying that. So obviously, I'm on the other side with it. Shout out to Jason Kidd, who has a chance to get a ring as a player of the Dallas Mavericks, but and then now as a coach for the Dallas Mavericks. He's done a great job. One of my favorite players. Kyrie, he's had his ups and downs, but that's still Uncle Drew. It's always going to be Uncle Drew, and Luca is the future. And they got some really good pieces that they managed to put together a great supporting cast with Gafford and PJ Washington and the rest of those guys. Um, I'm not sold on the Celtics. We've seen this before, and it was bad. And this was when everyone was like, "Oh, the Warriors run is over. This is no way." You know what I mean? And we saw how that went down. We've seen how they've taken losses to teams that they were clearly better than, like the Miami Heat. We've seen that. We've seen them struggle in series that had the best player from the opposing team not in the game, not in the series. You know what I mean? So I'm just at this point. I'm just on my show it. You got to prove it. Just prove it. You want the crown. You go out. You show everybody that is your house, and you going home with that. And I think that's the same thing that Jason Tatum would also have to do if he really does want to be in the discussion for face of the NBA. He's gonna have to go in and prove it. He's gonna have to go in and take the Finals MVP. I've been saying this. He gonna have to pee on that hydrant and show the world that he is him now. He's the future. He's the new face of the league. But I just don't see it happening. I'm going Dallas, man.
I think for Boston, you know, like you mentioned, they've been better than every team they had to face. Some of it is injury, some of it is just, hey, they were the number one seed and they should be better than this team.
Yeah.
But one of the things that stuck out to me, and I mentioned this to you in the first round against Miami, and really in their losses in the playoffs, the three losses they've had, they do not defend the 3-point shot very well. That's how Miami was able to steal game two against them. That's how Cleveland was able to steal game two against them. And that's how you said that the Pacers without Halliburton were able to steal the game. The Mavs can shoot in space. We know that's what the Mavs are all about. They're going to space the court out for Luka and allow him to make any read he wants to make. And if Boston struggles to defend the 3-point shot, I think this is where the series gets very, very difficult for them because they don't have, yes, they got the bodies to throw at Luka, but they don't have one specific guy I think that's going to be able to slow down Luka. And so if Luka's able to get in the paint and play make and do all the same things that he was able to do against Minnesota, where they couldn't figure out, should they be in drop coverage? Should they blitz him coming off the pick and roll? If Luka's going to be able to see the floor and just make the passes, I think Dallas is going to get a lot of open shots in this series. And that's why I do like the Mavs as well. I just think it's a tough matchup for Boston. Shout out to Will Gordon, our brother, man. He made the statement about the finals coming down to one player, Porzingis. Mm-hmm. I think it's more than one player, but I do agree with the impact of Porzingis in the series because Al Horford can't be relied on to play 30-plus minutes a night against these active bigs of the Mavs. You need Porzingis to give you quality minutes. And that goes back to my original and my opening statement of the night. Porzingis hasn't played meaningful basketball in quite some time. So to say, hey, go out there and deal with the activity of Derek Lively, of Daniel Gafford for 30-plus minutes a night, that's a lot for somebody who has not played any significant basketball recently.
Yeah. So, because you got to get back into game shape. And again, Porzingis is someone that we've seen up close, being a Knick. So we've seen the injuries throughout the years that he's continued to have to deal with. So you're expecting him to bounce back and give you 30, maybe even 40 minutes a night as your starting center. That's a lot when you got to damn near contort your body to try to stop Kyrie when he's going to the basket. So you know what I mean? Like it's gonna be tough for them in this series. Now, if you're telling me that you're gonna get a healthy, top-notch Porzingis who can give you 35 minutes a night, I might change my opinion a little bit, but I don't know what we're gonna get from Porzingis. I just don't even think Al Horford is going to be able to hold up at this point with these young athletic bigs that Dallas has. And then I don't know if are we going to get Golden State Warriors NBA Finals Jason Tatum? I don't know which version of Jason Tatum are we gonna get. We just saw it, which was crazy because we have been speaking about this for the past couple of weeks. I was saying last week we didn't know who was the alpha in Boston, whether it be Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum, and then Jaylen Brown goes and wins the MVP of the Eastern Conference Finals. So that's why I said it's a lot of show and prove here, man. Boston got to show and prove.
It is a lot to show and prove for Boston, and the challenge is there for Jason Tatum. This is your opportunity to kind of make everybody forget about the finals appearance 2 years ago against the Warriors and rewrite kind of your own legacy and your own history right now, because the knock on Jason Tatum is he's too nonchalant, is that he's not assertive enough. As you mentioned, he doesn't present like an alpha mentality. Yeah. So he gets an opportunity to do it. But this is, again, style-wise, I like the matchups for the Mavs, man, because their ability to switch with different defenders, PJ Washington and Derrick Jones Jr. are going to, be very tough defenders for Brown and Tatum. With their activity, their athleticism, their long defenders pause, that's going to be a tough matchup for them. You're not picking on guys who are smaller than you now. You look at the Pacers series, they were able to go up against smaller guys like Nembhard and Naismith. You look at the Cavs series, the Cavs didn't have the perimeter defender to really throw at you. You look at the Miami series, Miami was missing Jimmy Butler, Terry Rozier. They didn't have the guys to throw at you. This series changes that because Dallas has guys who purely can just defend and don't have to worry about anything else. Just defend, knock down a couple open threes in the corner, and your night is set. And then, like I said, they have this rotation of different guys that they can use there, because I think we're going to see a little bit more Tim Hardaway Jr. in the series as well. Somebody who is effective, hasn't played much in the last series, but he's another guy and another body that comes off the bench that they can throw at them to wear them down.
And he's a shooter.
Yep.
And if he gets hot, look out.
He's a guy who can easily give you 15 off the bench.
Exactly. Shout out to Terrence. I see you first in the comments. We're gonna talk about Jabari Parker a little bit later because we are very in support of being aware of mental health and those things. Big shout out to Coach D. She's our mental health guru. We have her come on the show every so often. But shout out to Terrence. Shout out to Imani. I see you. We're gonna definitely get you this WNBA talk. Rich Dre, I see you. Let's talk. Well, Gordon's comments though. The finals come down to one player. Porzingis, if he's healthy and on, he draws the Dallas big. Sports away from the bet. Yeah. Um, it's sorry, man. This just ruined everything, man. But yeah, man. I don't know if we're gonna get what we're gonna get from Porzingis. Like, if he's on the court and able to stay on the court, is he going to be Porzingis? Is the question, and then the next question becomes: is it a hindrance to have him on the court if he's not Porzingis? Do you try to find out a different way to work your rotation?
Yeah, but I also think that this is a tough situation for Joe Mazzulla because you got to find 48 minutes out of the center position, no matter what. I mean, no matter what, no matter who you play there, there's got to be 48 minutes because Dallas always leaves one big on the court. Pause. Right? Whether it's Lively or Gafford, one of them is going to be on the court. And then if they really want to stretch out your defense, pause, they could bring Maxi Kleber in, who's a shooter. So you got to find a way between Horford, healthy or slow down Porzingis, and Luke Cornett. That's really his three options. I don't think you want to be splitting 48 minutes between Horford and Luke Cornett. You're going to have to find, even if Porzingis can only give you 22 minutes a night, you're going to have to get the best 22 minutes you can get from Porzingis because this is a matchup where those bigs, like I said, of Dallas are way too active. Luke Cornett can't be seeing 15 to 20 minutes of action in a series. It just can't happen.
Yeah, I don't see that going well for those guys if that's the case. Let me see. Let me go to Justin Frizzy. Shout out to Justin. Most likely 2024 NBA Finals MVP. I mean, here's the thing, right? If I'm picking Dallas to win the series, but I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't know, man. For some reason, I feel like Kyrie might want that. I don't know. I just feel like Kyrie might want that a lot, man. The storylines are there with Kyrie Irving and his history with the Boston Celtics. And listen, I know Luka is all time great, amazing player, but sometimes when you get them storylines and it's like, nah. I'm, you know, I just want to show y'all what it was. Anything's possible. I mean, we saw the last game with Kyrie had 36 in game 6 and Luka had 36. They both had 36. So, listen, anything is possible. Kyrie might want that finals MVP, man.
Kyrie is definitely going to be one of the finalists that we talk about for possible finals MVP. It will probably be the greatest redemption story since Kobe kind of reinvented himself and then, won back-to-back chips with the Lakers. Mm-hmm. If Kyrie would have become the finals MVP and get his second ring. But the question is from Justin, most likely. And for me, the most likely, if I'm picking Dallas, has to be Luka Doncic. I don't know if you saw the stat, Trip, but going into the finals, Luka Doncic in these playoffs, he's the leader in points, rebounds, assists, steals, and three-pointers throughout the entire playoffs. Nobody has played better in these playoffs than Luka Doncic. So if I'm saying Dallas is going to win, I'm going to assume Luka is going to continue to play really, really well for them to win. And I would say Luka. But again, Kyrie will be in the discussion. And I think it would be a great redemption story for Kyrie to kind of remind everybody, you know what I'm saying? Some of the off-court things, y'all forgot how great I am on the court.
Where's Roy Jones Jr.? Y'all must have forgot. Shout out to Ron Charles. I think a lot of people are going to have their eyes on Jason Tatum because last finals, Wiggins gave him problems. And remember, he led the playoffs in turnovers. That's what we've been saying. I don't know which Jason Tatum am I going to get. Are we going to get the Jason Tatum that says, you know what? I hear all the chitter chatter about all these other guys that y'all want to try to make the face of the league. No, you got the face of the league right here. He plays for the Boston Celtics, and he's going to emerge as the finals MVP. I don't know. I don't know. And it's going to be tough because when Luka's putting up easy 35 on you, you're going to have to do a lot, Tatum. There's a lot that you're gonna have to do to surpass, with those two superstars over there is going to be doing. So I don't know if Tatum can get over the hump on this one, man.
Well, there are going to be a lot of eyes on Jason Tatum because one, he's not the best player in this series. We know that. And two, like you said, this is his opportunity to redeem himself in the finals 2 years ago. The third part of that is what I mentioned earlier, too, that this is the first time I think Boston is not only going to be challenged, but there are going to be points in the series where their back is going to be against the wall. Mm-hmm. Like Dallas may not win game one, but I damn sure don't think we're leaving Boston with this series 2-0 in either direction. I think both teams get a win in Boston, and going back to Dallas, there's going to be that pressure on Boston. Like, all right, now we got to go on the road and find a way to win a tough road game at some point against our best competition so far in these playoffs. And everybody's going to be watching Tatum to see how he responds because we know what Luka's going to do. We've seen it every year in the playoffs. This is one of the things. Shout out to Haran. Shout out to H2O. I know Ball of Peace coming up. But this is one of the things I was saying when we had him on the show. Luka has been battle tested, and Luka has gone to war against everybody he's ever faced in the playoffs. So Luka's not going to be intimidated by anything going on in these finals. Jason Tatum, on the other hand, we've seen times where he's faded a little bit, where he's kind of played the background. He didn't play great in last year's Eastern Conference Finals against Miami either. So let's not overlook those. Tatum, the eyes are on you because you have to show now that you are on that same level and in that conversation with Luka Doncic.
Yeah, I agree. On the biggest stage out there. Will Gordon says Luka's setup game gives him the advantage for me over Kyrie for MVP. He makes those.
Will is
you on a roll tonight?
No, it's the proper usage of pause.
Yeah, just on a roll. But no, yeah, I see. The thing is because with Luka, you damn near could get a triple double every night. So I think that's where you're gonna you will get the edge. I'm only giving Kyrie because again I think Luka would be the favorite. I'm giving Kyrie a shot at Finals MVP just because I feel like he's gonna want some get back. Like things really started to take a turn at the Boston years. Like the way he left Cleveland, but how he got left out of Boston was really where things started to go downhill. And then obviously we know it got worse in Brooklyn. But this the same way we had the Redeem team in the Olympics, this might be the Redeem team, what I'm saying, right here for Kyrie. And he gets to redeem his story. I seen somebody had a legacy question in there, but he gets to change his legacy, with a championship win. And definitely if he gets a finals MVP, that would be amazing. Oh, I see some other comments down here. Hoop Baller, shout out to Hoop Baller Scoop, man. Jason Tatum wins the MVP. I mean, if the Celtics win, I would hope he gets the MVP. But again, we literally just saw Jaylen Brown get the Eastern Conference Finals MVP.
Yeah, but Tatum could have won that. I don't see that one I don't like too much because everybody makes it seem like Brown wins that one, but Tatum was 30, 10, and 6 in that series.
Yeah,
Tatum played really, really well. Like it's not like Tatum shit the bed and Jaylen Brown had to carry them. Tatum played really well as well.
It's like how we say when you got a championship fight in boxing and you got to beat the champ. It's kind of like that, right? You got to if you are that guy, you know what I'm saying? You got to put your stamp down.
Yeah, but 30, 10, and 6. I mean, how much more can he put his stamp down?
You got to get the edge somehow, man.
I'm just saying, but see, that's one of the things that is out of Jason Tatum's control. He doesn't control the voting.
No, he doesn't. But all right. So let's say, all right, you got with Stephen and Durant, right? Everyone going in said Durant was the better player of the two. Durant went and got them Finals MVPs.
Cool.
He got to do it.
Even with Kevin Durant winning them MVPs, he don't control the voting.
No,
it's like hold on. When Bron and Kyrie won, right? If Kyrie had won MVP, would that have been Bron's fault that he won MVP? No, Kyrie made the biggest shot. Kyrie averaged 30 in that series.
Yeah,
like that would have been out of Bron's control too. Like, hey, I played great. It's just that's who the voters who they like more. So I can't hold that one against Jason Tatum. I think Tatum was phenomenal.
Like statistical category though too. So
yeah, but we remember that series for what Kyrie did.
Yeah, he won the shot with the three.
I mean, Kyrie had multiple 40-point games in that finals.
He did, and so did LeBron.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. If Kyrie had won it, if the voters would have leaned towards Kyrie because of his numbers, how great they were, and the fact that he hit the biggest shot of the series, the voters would not have been wrong. And I don't think anybody would have held it against LeBron like, yeah, but you didn't win that MVP. No, we all would have said the same thing. Look, Kyrie was phenomenal as well. And I think that's the same situation with Brown and Tatum. Brown was phenomenal as well. It's well-deserved. He got that. and that's cool. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yes, they both were phenomenal.
But that's not Tatum's fault, Trip. You making it seem like that's Tatum's fault, and that's not Tatum's fault.
He didn't. That's what. But like you said, he could have gotten it, but he didn't. Look, Kyrie could have gotten it, but he didn't.
But you holding that against Tatum, and that's not Tatum's fault. Tatum don't vote on the MVP.
And you better do something to set yourself apart from the crowd.
He went 30, 10, and 6, Trip.
He didn't do enough because the voters didn't give that to him.
So he didn't do enough. But yet, just last week when we had the debate about Brown should have been on one of the All NBA teams, I guess Brown didn't do enough to be on an All NBA team because he didn't get voted there.
Oh no, he should have been. He should have been there.
Oh, okay. So which one is it then, Trip? You do enough to do it, and the voters don't recognize you.
He didn't do enough for the voters.
All right, but if you do enough and put yourself in position to get it, it ain't your fault if the voters overlook you. You put yourself in position.
Listen, yeah, he did. He did everything that he possibly could and didn't get it.
And like I said, Tatum not winning.
Possibly done wasn't enough.
I don't agree with that. I just don't agree with that at all.
It wasn't enough. He would have got it. So it wasn't enough because the voters.
I don't agree with that at all. You play your best game. You put yourself in position. If the voters, for whatever reason, the same way we talk about voter fatigue in other categories, it's possible that you get voter fatigue in the Eastern Conference Finals as well. Tatum did what he was supposed to do. They were blowing. They blew out the Pacers. They won that series pretty comfortably. If Tatum wanted to be selfish, he could have like, yo, just leave me in the game. I'm gonna go for 40 every night. But he didn't. They won the games. He did what he was supposed to do. He didn't get the votes. I can't hold that against him. If Brown had played similar, and we're using different series as analogies, right? When the Warriors beat the Cavs the first time, when Kyrie and Love were out, and Iguodala wins Finals MVP, Steph didn't play great in that series. So Iguodala winning Finals MVP was correct, right? Because Steph didn't play well enough to get it. Had Steph played better and he got overlooked, again, it wouldn't have been Steph's fault. That's who the voters selected. Tatum played well enough. Tatum played well enough.
If Steph played better, he's winning the Finals MVP. There's no debate.
But he didn't.
He didn't play.
My point is, if you play well, you can't. Then it's out of your control. Somebody else got it. Now it's up to the voters.
I don't know, man.
It's up to the voters. I personally felt like, since we're comparing different finals, I personally felt when the Lakers won their bubble championship that Anthony Davis should have been MVP because his impact was, no disrespect to what Braun did, but AD was controlling the game offensively and defensively. To me, AD was the best player on that team that won the finals that year. But he didn't get the votes. That's not his fault. He did everything he could. The voters went another direction. Tatum did his thing in the Eastern Conference Finals. We can't do that.
Nah, he didn't do enough for the voters.
He did his thing, Trip. He don't do that. He did enough. Let's not shit on 30, 10, and 6. Let's not act like that's minimal.
He played a great series. He could have gotten the Finals MVP. But at the end of the day, the voters looked at what Jaylen Brown did, and they said he's the Eastern Conference Finals MVP.
Right. But you're making it seem like Tatum didn't do enough.
Tatum
did what he was supposed to do. That was what you said earlier.
I'm saying
we're gonna have the supporters. We're gonna have the supporters rewind the tape. They're gonna rewind the live and go back because that you were saying he got to do more.
I said he didn't do enough for the voters to pick him over Jaylen Brown. I didn't say he didn't do enough in the series. That's two different things.
Fault, though.
Whose fault is it?
That's who the voters picked, Trip. That's not his fault.
But he's the one on the court. The voters aren't on the court, so they're going by what they saw. And from what they saw, you didn't do enough for us to say, we'll give you the edge over Jaylen Brown.
And the same people who vote for the Eastern Conference MVP are the same people who vote for the regular season MVP. And I'm the same people that thought Steve Nash should get more MVPs than Kobe Bryant. So I'm not giving validity to their vote just because they got the vote. The player does what he's supposed to do. The player shows up and does what he's supposed to do. If the voter goes another way, that's not the player's fault. You can't say the player didn't do enough. The player did enough. The voters, for whatever reason, went with Brown. But Tatum did enough.
How many times does the alpha on the team play great and they don't get the Finals MVP?
It's rare.
It's rare. But it's one time. Man.
But no, this ain't the one time because, like I said, how many times that the alpha maybe doesn't play as the best player and still wins the MVP? Because like I gave you 2 instances where I thought Braun shouldn't have won Finals MVP.
Well, I don't know about if Braun shouldn't have won Finals MVP. I don't know about that.
So you telling me he was way more deserving than Kyrie?
LeBron led in every statistical category.
And if not for Kyrie, if not for Kyrie's game 5, game 6, game 7, they lose that series. Kyrie's performance is what helped them and solidified them being able to win that series.
Identical numbers the last 3 games.
And Kyrie was the one who stood out to me.
Okay,
I would have given it to Kyrie.
how many games is the series? And does Kyrie
It's a
get
7-game series.
okay? So if we're saying they had them identical games the last 3, what about the first 4?
I
And
still felt
Kyrie can't make that shot.
I still felt Kyrie's impact was more.
Kyrie can't get that
Kyrie was more impactful in winning that series than LeBron. That's my opinion. Anthony Davis was more impactful on winning the bubble championship than LeBron.
Yeah, listen, that's your opinion. You're right. You can have your opinion, and I can have mine.
Thank you, Kyrie. Kyrie just said the same thing I said. He was more impactful.
Okay, now, Kyrie, do you think that Kyrie should have won the Finals MVP over Braun? Now you put that ass up there, we'll see. All right, let's get to these next count. Hold on. Oh my goodness, Tatum gets a lot of light skin hate, a lot of dark skin and militant hate. Welcome to Boston, one of the most racist cities in the USA.
That's a fact. That's why I mean, we'll tell no lies.
That's what I said. Now we're gonna get to all these comments. I'm trying to get to the
guys,
comments.
Come on, guys. Y'all know y'all ready? Come on, cut it out, guys. Y'all know we're gonna get to every comment. There's some nights we here for 2 hours. You know we're gonna get to every comment. So
exactly. We ain't nobody in a rush, right? Ain't no games on tonight. The finals don't start till Thursday.
Come on.
Okay. But yeah, man. I think I've told the story before on the show. About the Boston fans. My cousin's husband, his grandmother used to work for the Red Sox. And this is the old under the old ownership, the ones right before the people that own it now. They wouldn't even let her go to the bathroom in the building. So you know what I'm saying. So I know how it gets in Boston, and people have heard stories from the players and everything. So I'm not ever gonna be rocking with the Celtics. Plus, if I ever wanted to give them a chance, Paul Pierce messed it up for him. So there's nothing they could do. I put Bill Russell in the bubble, and that's it. Everything else after that with Boston, I'm good on.
Will, you told no lies there. That's been an ongoing conversation for a very long time, and a lot of athletes across different sports have talked about the level of racism in Boston. So it is what it is there, I guess.
Okay, let me come back up because y'all think we're gonna miss these comments. I'm gonna start running through these comments now. All right, I'm going back to the top. Shout out to Terrence, man. Jabari Parker did an interview. They asked him how is it playing overseas, and he broke down crying hard. I wonder how his mental is. Shout out to Hoopballer Scoop because I've seen he tagged us in that on Facebook. So I did watch the video before we got on the air. I mean, my prayers just go out to him again because it's not like we've had conversations with Jabari Parker where I could assess where his mental state of mind is at. But I am very sensitive to mental health issues and what people are dealing with on a day-to-day basis, and I'm very understanding of that. So if he is dealing with something, I hope that he can get whatever help is needed. It can be a lot on a person who, because with Jabari Parker, we're talking about a top projected draft pick coming out of Duke. He was one of the big 3 in that draft because it was him, Julius Randle, and I forget who was the third one, but it was like a big 3 coming out of that draft class. And I can understand when things don't go as projected as a player, and how that depression can hit, how the mental stress can hit. So again, if he is dealing with something mentally, I just hope that he's able to get the help that he needs. I hope that he has a support system of not only people overseas where he's playing, but his NBA brethren, that reach out to him and just check in with him and just see how it is. And that's something that we should all be doing, for our circle as well. Always remember to check in with your friends, even the ones that always is good all the time. Check in with your friends, check in with your families, and just see where their mental is at. See how they're doing, because you never know what somebody could be going through. All right, so yeah, definitely check in. We gotta get Coach D back up here, for another mental health special. Just because it's very important that we understand. It's a lot, man. This mental illness is a lot. So we want to always project mental wealth and mental health. So I do hope that Jabari Parker is all right. And if he is dealing with something, I hope that he can get the help that he needs. Appreciate you on that, Will. Shout out to Pooh. I see you. Yo, Justin, look, let me throw your comment. Justin, we're gonna get to all these comments. All right, we ain't going nowhere. We got plenty of time. Uh let me throw Scoop Hoops comment up here. Remember, Jabari Parker was maybe more skilled than Andrew Wiggins at the time. I think just his career shortcomings hit him at that moment. He also dealt with some injuries early on in his career as well. So yeah, so that's what I'm saying. If he is, I just pray that he gets the help that he needs.
Absolutely, he was skilled. He was more skilled than Andrew Wiggins. NBA body type, he was more ready than most guys coming out. I think the emotion is a combination of a lot of things, as you mentioned, Trip. And I got disconnected, so I didn't hear everything you said. But the injuries, I think the journey that he's taken to land him overseas. He's tried multiple comebacks within the league, and I'm sure this isn't the way he saw his career playing out. Playing overseas and finishing out overseas. So there's a lot going on, and you can just hope and pray that his mental is okay while he's out. He's playing out the game, but it's not under the ideal circumstances that he expected to be doing his dream.
Yeah. I hope so, man. But yeah, that was that big three: Wiggins, Parker, and so I hope he does get that help. Let me come back up to the top. Let's see, we got a couple more. Let me go to shout out to Kyrie, man. Kyrie McKnight, what's going on? After the T-Wolves won game 4, were y'all shocked how bad the Mavs beat the team with T-Wolves and Vinny? Not at that point. No, I wasn't. They kind of put the stake in the vampire early in this series. I wasn't surprised by nothing. I said, after game 2, I said, oh, okay, Kyrie and Luka, they trying to get to a finals. And Kyrie, as much as people want to give Kyrie flack, Kyrie knows how to get to an NBA finals. He knows how to win an NBA finals. And he doesn't need to score 40 points, even though he can, to help you get those wins that you're going to need to get to an NBA finals. So no, it didn't shock me at that point. I think they just had their number. And sometimes when you're built to beat a particular team, doesn't mean you're built to beat every team. And Minnesota went in and did what they did to the NBA champs, but it's a different matchup, against the Dallas Mavericks, and they were not ready for that.
I was shocked by the ball. I'm not gonna lie. Original prediction was Dallas in 6. So I thought Minnesota could carry momentum over and win game 5. Will Gordon and I were actually texting before the game, and I said that. I thought, hey, Minnesota will win tonight. They'll force it back to Dallas, and then Dallas will finish it off there. So I was a little shocked. But to your point, anyway. Say that again?
I said she was only 1 game off anyway. That's not bad, actually.
But I'm saying in terms of, but to Kyrie's question, in terms of the score in game 5, getting blown out the way they did, yes, I was shocked by that. But to your point, Trip, as you mentioned, Luka came out on fire. Like Luka sensed the moment and said, "Nah, it's a wrap. I'm putting you out of bed right now. I'm not, and then Kyrie closed the show. And shout out to Will Gordon. Like I said, I'm gonna give you your props on that, Will, because when we were talking, he said before the game, he said, I think Dallas backcourt is gonna go, they're gonna combine for 70 points tonight. And so he was right on the money with that. But I didn't see. I thought the Timberwolves had gained a little momentum from game 4 and could at least push it back. But overall, I thought the series went the way I thought. I thought Dallas was the better team. We had that debate on the show that night when H2O was on with us, and I wasn't surprised at all that Dallas advanced to the finals. I think in every playoff series, I predicted them to win it, even though OKC was my team in the preseason. I said Dallas is a tough matchup for them, and I thought Dallas would be a tough matchup for Minnesota as well. So Dallas getting to the finals, I'm not too surprised by, though.
Yeah. All right, everybody's favorite, LeBron James question time. It's not me.
You're the only person that loves this part of the show. You're the only one, Trip.
These are not my topics. I didn't put not a LeBron James mention in the rundown today, bro. It's not me, but I'm going to answer this question. Shout out to Justin. At 25, who's better, LeBron or Luka? Clearly it's LeBron, because LeBron, that was back when he was an elite 2-way player. So It's got to be LeBron, unless we just saying defense don't count no more.
I'm shocked that you. I'm shocked that you said clearly.
Oh well, yeah, it got to be clearly because as much as I love Luka and I think he's a great offensive player, he's not an elite defensive player. He might be average at best on the defensive side of the basketball. So I mean, realistically, and offensively, their games are pretty similar, right? Would you agree with that?
No, their games are not
similar styles of play. I'm saying statistically, they're putting up similar numbers.
Yeah, they do it in different ways, but statistically, yes. I think Bron at this age was the better two-way player. I think Luka is the far more skilled offensive player. At this age, if I'm saying who's better, I think as just a player, I think Luka is better at this age because he's just more skilled than LeBron. LeBron did not have this arsenal in his bag. And again, he was a better defensive player, but LeBron for a long time was limited offensively is what he could do. Because if LeBron couldn't get downhill, if LeBron couldn't consistently get in the paint, he could struggle. And that's why we saw him struggle as some of those matchups got tougher in the playoffs. Luka has shown time and time out there isn't a defense that you could throw at him that could slow him down. I would challenge anybody to pinpoint a moment in any playoff series where you say, yeah, they really slowed down Luka. It hasn't happened. I just think Luka is more skilled and at this age is better than what LeBron was at this age.
Okay. That was also Miami LeBron, which you say is the best version of LeBron at 25.
LeBron was not 25 in Miami.
When he got to how old was he in Miami? 18, 19, 20, 24. So that was his last year in Cleveland. He was MVP.
Yeah.
Two-time MVP already at that point.
The best version of LeBron are his last 3 years. The 3 years in Miami, not that first year, but the year they won the championship over Oklahoma City, the year they beat the Spurs, and the year they lost to the Spurs. That 3-year run to me is peak LeBron. And even then, LeBron's offensive game wasn't close to where Luka's is right now, skill-wise. Statistics, yes, but skill-wise, no.
But not back to being a back-to-back MVP at that age. It don't help the argument? Because Luka ain't got an MVP yet.
Of course.
I'm just saying.
Luka is that again? So here we are debating who the voters should vote for. We know Joker was well deserving of being an MVP. That's no knock against Luka.
Yeah, but he does have the MVPs.
So do we hold it against LeBron the year that Derrick Rose won when maybe Bron should have won? We don't hold that against Bron. We don't say, well, he didn't get that one. Like, that's not his fault. Again, the voters are going to vote who they want to vote for, Trip.
Yeah, but if we're comparing their resumes at 25, and he's already a back-to-back MVP, and he doesn't even have one MVP. And it's not like
if we're just gonna do stats, I think across the board, Luka's stats are just more efficient. Across the board, better shooter, better passer, rebounds are pretty much the same. He operates at a much higher efficiency rate than LeBron did at 25. Let's not pretend that we don't know that. These are things we know.
Okay.
So if we're like I said, we could go tit for tat for the rest of the show on it. But in terms of skill level and player, Luka is a better player at 25.
Oh, you know what? My bad. You're right. You win this one, Eric, because Hoop Baller Scoop you're right. Trip, no one cares about better offensive. Yeah, you're right. I forget in the NBA, defense doesn't matter. So you're right. My bad. I apologize. I was wrong on this one. Luka is the better player because defense does not matter in a sport where you're expected to play defense, but it doesn't matter. So shout out to Hoop Baller Scoop for letting me know because I was wrong on that one. So my apologies, guys. Let's get to this next comment on the list. We got down here. Let me see. Oh, this is a good one. Actually, I've been waiting to get to this one here. Shout out to Ron Charles. What player has increased their legacy these playoffs? I'm gonna give you two and two possibles. One, Jalen Brunson. I think that's clear. It's not even a debate how much he leveled up. And we were sitting here talking a couple of weeks ago about is he a top 5 all-time Knick, and he ain't been there but 3 years. So that's one. Anthony Edwards is 2. I think he leveled up completely in this playoffs. And then my two possibles would come with winning the NBA championship. And that would be Kyrie and that would be Jason Tatum, respectively. If either of those two, if the Celtics win, then I would say that would give Jason Tatum's legacy a huge boost because now he'd be stamped as an NBA champion. And I do feel like he does get the Finals MVP if the Celtics win the series. And then on the West Coast with on the Western Conference with Kyrie, um, Luca is already looked at as such an all-time great. Kyrie, just because of the controversy these past couple of years, I think winning a second championship does a lot for his legacy.
I'm gonna start off by saying Will Gordon's last comment that increases his legacy because he is one of the real legends. Great comments in the comment section. Shout out for the love game. I would say this. I get a little frustrated with all of this legacy talk. We so quick to legacy, like right now, legacy. You mentioned Jalen Brunson to Anthony Edwards. Them dudes in their mid-20s, bro. Anthony Edwards 22. There's a lot more time to write their narrative and their story before we can even talk about legacy. Because in all honesty, and I love Jalen Brunson. Jalen Brunson's defining moment as a player. This might be Anthony Edwards' moment as a player. I don't think it will. But there are plenty of guys who have had one or two great runs. We're talking legacy. We're talking sustained excellence over a long period of time. It's one person and one person only. It's Kyrie Irving. Because Kyrie Irving, we've always talked and debated how skilled he is as a player. And his name took a little bit of a hit because of what happened in Brooklyn specifically. So for him now to, again, redeem himself in a way where it's like, I'm reminding you of how great I am in this league. And when we look back at his sustained excellence, to me, this opportunity in the finals, this run and this chance to get that second ring will completely change his legacy. The way they talk about him in the future will completely change. He is going into the Hall of Fame at some point when his playing days are over. And if he can win here and he can be the guy that we remember that was like, hey, this guy was not only great on the court, but he was a great leader with this Dallas team when no one else saw him as a leader. He's the one that has increased the legacy in a different way. Tatum, now Anthony Edwards, Jalen Brunson, all them guys in their 20s, they got plenty more playoff opportunities in front of them to write their like for Kyrie, this might be one of the for him to do it. Because if they don't win, he'll be
Eric is over
for Kyrie. It's right now.
Eric is over there freezing up a little bit on us.
Do you hear me now?
Yeah, I heard most of it. If I can hear you, but
for Kyrie, it's right now. For Kyrie, it's right now. This is his legacy because there may not be an opportunity in front of him. The other guys you mentioned, no disrespect to them, they're younger, they have plenty of opportunities. There's more road ahead of them to write their legacy.
Now, let me ask you this: if do you still feel the same way if the Dallas Mavericks don't win the championship?
I think he's increased his legacy because he changed the narrative.
Either way,
so yes, for me, he increased like
he's still
now winning is like icing on the cake for him. Like that came to Dallas when people that I could be a leader, when people doubted I can contribute. But even if them finals, I think we look at Kyrie completely different. When I say we mean as a scope, not Kyrie and his contributions seen completely different now.
Because I think he's improved his legacy, win or lose. But I think if he wins the finals, then there's a huge legacy bump for Kyrie.
I agree, but that's why I say no. I agree, but that's why to Ron's question, what player has increased their legacy these playoffs? It's Kyrie.
Yeah,
we're talking about the narrative around Kyrie and the way that he is talked about now is completely different because he has shown the leadership qualities that we've been asking him to show since.
We just slow. Eric is back. I got you. Oh, yeah, you clear. You clear now. You good. It's all good.
Yeah, my fault, man. I'm having trouble with my connection over here.
It's all good. We're gonna try to fight through it as best as possible because I want you to answer this next question from Ron Charles. What do the Timberwolves need going forward to help them go further?
They probably could add another shooter. Jaden McDaniels struggled in the playoffs, and Mike Conley's a little older, and his injuries kind of slowed him down. So they could use another shooter. The problem is they're so good defensively, you're going to have to sacrifice some of that defense to get better offensively. And whether it's one of the big two guys with Gobert or Cat, if you give away one of those bigs, then defensively you kind of look different. Your versatility looks different. But also what they really need is just more experience. They're a young team. This is their first deep playoff run. Remember, Karl-Anthony Towns had never been to this point. The only two guys on their team that had ever been to this point, I believe, were Mike Conley and I think 1 year Rudy with the Jazz. I think Rudy only made it to the second round. I don't think he ever made it to the Western Conference Finals. But they were the only two guys, Conley and Rudy were the only two guys that had ever had some sort of lengthy playoff run. So for the Timberwolves, this is a learning lesson for you. And you just, hey, we'll be back, we'll be better, and we'll execute a little better. And maybe you add a veteran off the bench that can provide a little bit more shooting. But I wouldn't tinker with the roster too much because I like what they have. And they showed that depending on the matchup, it can be perfect for them because the Denver matchup was perfect for them. Luka, I think, would have been a tough matchup for anybody. And they caught him at a tough time when he was really rolling and Kyrie was rolling. And let's not forget, in those first 3 games when Dallas went up 3-0, I think the total point margin in the first 3 games was only like 18-point difference. So all those games were close. Minnesota was right there. It's just that Dallas was able to execute better in the closing minutes.
Okay. I think they might have to move on from Karl-Anthony Towns. And the reason I say that is because the highest trade value would be Anthony Edwards, but you ain't moving him, so you could cancel him out. But as far as with anybody else that you're going to be able to move, I would say Karl-Anthony Towns. But you got to bring in another scorer, though, obviously. But I think you can get enough for Karl-Anthony Towns where you could get another scorer. I was running some trades past a couple of my conglomerates the other day, Eric, and I want to get your take on this one. So I was talking about a possible Karl-Anthony Towns to the Knicks for Jabari Parker and like Miles McBride and like a first round pick or 2.
For who?
For Jabari Parker, Miles McBride.
Jabari Parker.
I mean, I'm sorry, Julius Randle. We were talking about Jabari Parker earlier in New York. Julius Randle, McBride, and 2 first round picks for Karl-Anthony Towns.
Why would the Knicks make that move?
Bring over, Karl-Anthony Towns.
Again, why would the Knicks make that move? Does Karl-Anthony Towns make the Knicks better than what if the Knicks are at full strength, Karl-Anthony Towns makes them better?
Well, I mean, Julius Randle's not going to be there at that point too, but I think he could make them better.
So you would trade 2 first round picks and your starting power forward and a backup guard for a guy who might make you a little better? Nah, I'd rather run it back with what I got. I don't want Karl-Anthony Towns because Karl-Anthony Towns, we know what he is. I don't want him. To me, that move doesn't move the needle for the Knicks. It doesn't make you better significantly. If you're making moves as the Knicks, you're looking to get better significantly, not a sideways move. I think Karl-Anthony Towns would be a sideways move.
Okay, so is Paul George out of the question?
For who?
Well, I think he may be able to just sign if he declines the option.
Yeah. Paul George is going to hit the market, but for who? Is an option for who?
No, I'm saying they might for the Knicks.
I think but I don't think the Knicks are going to target Paul George either. I think Paul George, this is his last opportunity to get a big contract. The Knicks aren't going to give him a big contract. For me, Paul George is looking at obviously Philly. He's looking at Miami. I think a move within the West to a team like OKC would be great for Paul George.
That would be crazy.
Yeah, because they got a really nice young team, and he can go in there and he can provide them with some better leadership.
He went down. That would be crazy.
Yeah, it would be great there for them as well. I don't see Paul George and the Knicks working out because the Knicks don't have the free agency money. It would have to be some sort of sign and trade to make it happen. And Paul George is going to want to, this is it. He's going to want a good contract. Yeah. I don't think the Knicks are going to overextend.
Will says a new coach from Minnesota. He got injured, man. Cut him some slack.
I don't think, didn't he? Yeah. he could have made some different adjustments, but I think also what really handicapped them was they just never had enough shooting. They had this. They were going to have to sacrifice defense for offense, and they just never had enough shoot. They could never find the right lineup to make it work because, like I said, Jaden McDaniels was inconsistent shooting the ball this series. He started off hot in game one, and then he kind of faded the rest of the series. Mike Conley being hurt really, really, really hurt them because it forced Anthony Edwards to play more point guard than we would like to see him play. And they just can never figure out the right rotations from that point on. So I don't think the head coach was terrible. I just think he was limited in his options.
Okay. Yeah, shout out to Cliff. I see you in the comments there, man. What's good, man? How's DC treating you, bro? Let's get a little WNBA talking. Shout out to Rich Dre. Reaction to incident between Chaney Carter and Caitlin Clark. It's a lot of opinions on this. I see the girl laid low. So I'm assuming Clark said something before, but everyone killing Carter, of course, because you only gonna see in those situations you see the victim. You see the second part of that. That's how like when you was a kid, if you had siblings and your mother only catch you hitting your little brother or your little sister back, if they didn't see, they just bust you upside the head. You know what I'm saying with a water bottle or something like that. They saw you, and you the one that got caught out there. Because it was the bigger action. And I get it because that's like me. I'm the type of person because since I don't mess with people, if you do something to me, I got to get you back 10 times worse than what you did to me. So I could definitely see them going back and forth, talking crazy. And then we got to protect the golden child. So it is what I could definitely see that.
I think
it was a tough hit, but I don't know. Depending on what transpired before that was how I would make my judgment on the actual foul itself. Because again, I don't hear the dialogue that was going on between them two prior to that happening.
Correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section because I wasn't watching the game. I went back and watched the highlights of it. The play prior to that, they got like tangled up and Caitlin Clark threw an elbow. And then Carter knocks down the three, and before the inbound comes in, that's when she kind of like, pushes her from behind. That's the only part I didn't like. I've said before, I don't mind the emotion of the game. I don't mind the physicality in the game. I just didn't like the fact that her back was turned when you did it. Like, if you're going to bump her, then bump her. But don't wait till after you shoot the shot, her back is turned, and then do it. That to me was a little bit of a cheap shot. But, as Trip said too, you're going to always get penalized more for that reaction than the initial hit. That's always been the case in the NBA as well, in the NFL, in any sport. So we could sit here and complain all we want about, they were getting chippy before that. But that one's the most blatant one because Caitlin Clark is waiting for the inbound pass, and then you run behind her and push her. So that's always going to be the most blatant one, and that's going to be the one that's going to get caught.
See, because I got to really assess the situation because I know the elbow was thrown by Caitlin Clark coming down, right? So part of me is like, yeah, that was a cheap shot, but at the same time, part of me also feels like you can't tell me how to retaliate after you do something to me.
No, I listen, and that's why I say I get it. I personally I don't like the cheap shot, but I get it.
That would be my thing. I don't want it to cost the team, but at the same time, because all right, let's take it back to the Jokic and Morris situation when Jokic like cleaned his clock and he got injured after that. He wound up having to miss.
The difference was Morris hit him, and then when Joker went to face him, he turned his back to Joker.
That was his.
And this, right? That was that, and that's why I say that's a little different because you did it, and then you try to like turn your back as if like, oh, I'm gonna get away from this. In this situation, right? And Will Gordon had put the comment up. They get into an altercation on one end of the court. They come down. You do nothing. You wait till after you shoot the ball, and then she turns her back, and then you do that. Why not just rush her when she was looking at you when y'all was coming down court?
You gotta run this fade right now.
Yeah, like why would you wait till after I shoot the ball and then she turns her back?
Because she probably like me. I don't mess with nobody. So if you do something to me, I got to get you back 10 times worse than what you did to me. That's how she might feel about it. I don't know. But again, I don't want you to cost the team. because actually it was a good game. They were coming back in that game. It was very competitive. So and then now they upgraded it to a flagrant 1. So that would be my only thing. But Caitlin Clark quite as kept been getting bullied through this whole season. It ain't just Chicago. Every team they've been banged. She's been getting banged up, beat up, abused. I mean, not that the not, and I'm not saying not all of it is like intentional stuff, but she's getting her welcome to the league rookie moments damn near every game. Right after that, I mean, the Liberty abused them. She had to leave that game early. You know what I mean? And they just having a tough time of it at 2-9 right now on the season. But listen, man, I
It's part
think
of the
I think,
game,
I
though.
think it's putting more eyes on the WNBA.
Yeah, but that's part of it. I'm not mad at that because that's what we knew was going to happen coming in. We knew
Yeah,
that everyone was going to look at her as their moment. Like, oh, y'all going to praise her? All right, we going to show you that we have great competitors and great players already before Caitlin Clark got here. So we expected that to happen. I saw somebody put in a comment section about the WNBA kind of forcing these games down our throat, pause with the fever on TV all the time. But that's what the league is supposed to do. Caitlin Clark, her star power was at its brightest, getting drafted #1 overall, and you want more people to watch. Like I can't be mad at the WNBA for doing that because we just had a talk a couple of weeks ago about the pay equity in the WNBA and what the women deserved and the recognition the game deserved, and now they're getting it, and now we're mad that the league is doing it in the way they're doing it. Bottom line, we want to see the women play. We want to see the best competition that they have to offer, and they're giving us that opportunity. Caitlin Clark, it's a gift and a curse. Yeah, she's brought attention there, but she's on a bad team and she's struggling a little bit, and they're gonna go through their bumps and bruises, and it is what it is. It'll be fine, but ultimately the league has us watching. That's what they want.
yeah. Is what a shout out to Caitlin Clark, man, because at the end of the day, say what you want, that girl tough.
She's tough. And I see Kyrie, you said, so when does Caitlin's play mean anything? I mean, it means something now. She just won Rookie of the Month. She's averaging 17, 6, and 6.
Yeah, she's
She's doing, I
balling
mean, yeah, she
so bad.
right. It's like that. I really would like to hear from our supporters. What were your expectations for Caitlin Clark? Because there was somebody who had posed a question, about a month back when they were like, "Oh, who will be better, Angel Reese or Caitlin Clark?" And I said, Angel Reese, if she gets her offensive game, if she polishes her offensive game, she might have a higher upside, right? But I said from jump, Caitlin Clark is going to average 15, 5, and 5 in the league. I knew from jump because she already has natural point guard skills. Was she going to be the same shooter in college? Probably not. The defense is a little tougher, and you got to find a way to integrate some of these teammates in a way that you didn't have to do in Iowa. In Iowa, she didn't have to worry about getting everybody else involved. She could just go for hers. Now she's struggling with the concept of like, I got to get my teammates involved, find my shots, find my spots on the court, and deal with the level of physicality, which has up the ante compared to what I faced in college. But
Always gonna have to do more when you get to the pros. That's just
right, but she's still averaging 17, 6, and 6
yeah, give her respect.
through her first month of the season. I think she's playing well. She's still trying to adjust.
And remember, Indiana had the #1 overall pick in the draft the past 2 seasons. So that should tell you how bad.
Yeah. And shout out to Kyrie. I like Kyrie's question. His next one as well. He said, I expected at least a Candace Parker rookie type dominance. Candace Parker was a big. Caitlin Clark is
5.
Caitlin Clark is 6 feet.
Yeah.
It's they're playing a different game. Everything Caitlin Clark does is perimeter oriented, and then her to try to get in the paint is going to be more difficult for her. That's why her game is so perimeter based, even at the college level. That's who she is as a player. It's going to be an adjustment period.
So do you agree with what's her name? Chelsea's comments about Caitlin Clark? She's just a 3-point shooter?
No, I don't agree with that. I think she has good vision. She has good point guard skills. The problem is she's not the quickest guard. So the space that she was able to get in the college game, she's not getting that.
Because everybody's
now,
fast to shoot.
Right. The athleticism is better. Like even there was that play in the preseason where she had to really work hard to get space on a step back 3 and she hit it and everybody was like, oh, she's adjusting. No, she's not adjusting. She couldn't shake the defender. It's just that Caitlin Clark can make that shot. But she is struggling with the speed of the game because she is not a quick guard. She's a more methodical guard. And because she's a 6-foot guard, she's having trouble finding the spacing to be able to operate.
Okay. Let me go to Kyrie's comment here. Is the WNBA doing enough to protect Caitlin Clark? I mean, I just question because it's like protect her from what? What does she need? What does she need protection from? I mean, also, are you gonna go on the court and walk her up and down the court? Like you can't like there's no, I don't know about protecting her. Like this is at the end of the day, it's just basketball. She ain't the first person that ain't got bumped to the sideline. She ain't gonna be the last person that get bumped to the sideline. It's a physical game, even though it's not a contact sport, but it's a very physical game. You can't protect Caitlin Clark from the experience and the journey that she's going to have to go on in order to become one of the all-time great WNBA players.
I don't think they should doing enough to protect. I don't understand the question because, as you mentioned, Trip, like unless we're going to say you cannot touch her, how are they supposed to protect her? The game is the game. Players got to play. What Caitlin Clark is going through right now is an initiation.
Yeah.
And she will, if she comes out of this and still keeps her head up high and continues to play a game, she will earn everyone's respect. And that's the most important thing. If she cowers from this, if she tries to go into a hole and go into a shell, then that's when everyone will say, see, she's exactly what we thought. She ain't as great as y'all made her seem. But if she comes out of this, fire and is a better player because of it, everyone will respect her 1,000 times more because they'll say, you know what? We did everything we could to shake her confidence, and we did everything we could to expose her game, and we can't do it. So I don't think it's anything to do with protecting Caitlin Clark. I think this is just a natural progression any rookie goes through. Some rookies are able to adjust better than other rookies based on, their physical stature. But it happens in the NBA game as well. Sometimes smaller guards struggle that first year as they adjust their physicality. And then once you adjust, you become a better player. Caitlin Clark will be fine.
Yeah, I agree. I think she will be. Let me go to Hoopball Scoop question. I know that Caitlin Clark is the ratings and arena filler for the WNBA and love what she brings to the league. But are we supposed to kiss her butt? Are players supposed to make it easy on her? And as of late, she has had some horrible games. She seems to can't get her shot off easy. Yeah, something you were saying, Eric. Caitlin must just be a solid player, not just generational player. I think Juju's game with her size can be that player. Eric, you said a lot of this, prior to us posting this comment. I don't know whether I can't say right now whether she's going to be an all time great or not because they ain't played but 11 games. I can't. That's not enough to base. You know what I'm saying? To base it off of. I do think she will get better as she continues to get acclimated to the game, as her team gets better around her. Again, we are talking about the professionals. Even how we talk about how the rest of the world has gotten closer to the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
The rest of the world ain't got nowhere near close to the WNBA.
Right.
Like all of this is like no debate, and it's clear cut that the best women on the planet are playing in the WNBA, and it's not even close. And you have all of them in a small vacuum that you got to deal with. This ain't college where 50, 60, maybe even 75% of the teams you play is not going to be on your level. And in a one-woman show like a Caitlin Clark can dominate on every night. This ain't going to be that. Now you talk about if you took the best two players off of every college team and put them all together, that's who you're going against now. You're going against the juggernaut of talent in the WNBA, and it's going to take time for you to get adjusted to that.
I would, what I'm interested in hearing though, and maybe the supporters can clear this up for me. Where did this narrative come that we're supposed to just kiss Caitlin Clark's butt, or that we now have created this divide of people who either really support Caitlin Clark or don't support her? Because I don't remember anybody saying we should bow down and kiss the ring to Caitlin Clark. Nobody has said that. I know we haven't said that. I've heard a couple people say there's one person I heard say where they was like, well, they should allow her to do what she's going to do on the court because she's great for ratings. But that was one person. Yeah. Overall, no one within the WNBA, no one within like the world of basketball said, hey, bow down and kiss the ring. Caitlin Clark is here. It's over for all y'all motherfuckers. Nobody said that.
Like talent-wise, no. Nobody said she was just gonna come to the league.
And
Nobody
that was when Diana Taurasi made her statement about she's going to learn at the next level. I think everyone was in agreement because I even said, I was like, that's a statement you can make about any rookie taking that next step up. It's going to be an adjustment period. And I think what's really happened though, Trip, is that people have grown tired of Caitlin Clark's star power.
Yes.
And then we've turned this into, well, we don't like that she's a star, so now let's dissect every little aspect of her game.
It's like how we felt about Taylor Swift kept being at all the NFL games.
Yeah, I never liked Taylor Swift. That's how
the world felt about Taylor Swift when it was like, enough is enough. I'm getting sick of this now. But she's not on the field, so you can't critique her game. Whereas with Caitlin Clark, she's on the court, so you can needlepoint break down every bad play that she's ever made on the WNBA.
We're mad at Caitlin Clark because other people have given her this star power and this recognition. Caitlin Clark didn't draft herself number one.
No.
Caitlin Clark, right. Caitlin Clark didn't sit there and say, hey, give me the attention. She never did any of those things. Mm-hmm. So she never, even last year during their tournament run, she didn't ask for the attention that she received. They just, they gravitated towards her because of the way she shot the basketball. And she was very, very good in college. Let's not pretend that she wasn't. Let's not pretend that she was some average player in college. Because as we've highlighted many times, look at the competition she was playing against. She was a one-man show at Iowa. Nobody else on that Iowa team is in the WNBA. But she was playing the LSUs and the South Carolinas, the teams that had multiple people going to the next level. So I think Caitlin Clark has done what she's supposed to do. She's going through her struggles, and that's cool. That's a part of the progression. I don't think that we should be judging her, as Tripp said, off of 11 games. It's very premature to say, oh, that's it. 11 games, she ain't what we thought she was. She's going to struggle. That's a part of the game. Let's give it a little bit of time. There's very possible that her game adjusts as this season goes on and as she learns how to play through that physicality. And it's very possible that her second month might be better than her first month. There was a lot of y'all that was ready to write off Wembanyama off a damn preseason game. And then by the end of the season, y'all was calling him a generational talent. So let's give it a little time.
Yeah, I agree. Let it marinate, man. You gotta let that thing cook now. Come on, y'all know better than that. Let that thing cook. All right, let me get to. Hold on, because I seen a couple of insert comments. Fire. All this protect Clark talk only adds fuel to the fire behind her competitors. But that's what it's always going to be, though. Anytime, like, do you think? And I don't care what field you in, what career you got. You don't want the young gunner coming in and taking your shot away from you.
Never.
You're gonna give them a hard time. You're gonna make it hard for them. And we're talking about competitive sports here. It ain't this ain't gonna be easy for you. Oh, so y'all think she the one? And then it's just gonna be at that point, it's just up to you to prove them right or prove them wrong. No, she ain't the one. No, he ain't the one. Or yes, he is the one. And yes, she is the one. That's that's what it is.
That's what any sport. I mean, if we're just going to use basketball for this conversation and this question, when Wembanyama was getting all the hype early in the season, didn't Embiid take that personal and drop like 56 on his head? Didn't Embiid go right at Wembanyama every possession to show like, yo, you're not on this level yet. You good, but you're not on this level. You're not on this MVP level of the big men in this league. That's part of the game. When you're a high level draft pick, in this case the number one pick, you are anointed early on by the people that are excited about what you can do, and then you got the players that are already in the league that's like, I've been doing this for a while, and I'm going to show you why you're not on this level, and that's fine. That's okay. I like this question from Ron as well.
Let me ask y'all. We had Candace Parker, Diana, Maya, right, all-time greats, but I guess why is she the pick to be the most popular player to ever come in the WNBA? Because the popularity for the WNBA wasn't at no crazy heights prior to these last 2 years of college basketball. And what that storyline between her and Angel Reese kind of did for women's basketball. So it's easy for people. I can see why people will be like, oh, yeah, she's going to be the most popular. Because, again, they didn't say greatest, it's the most popular of all time. So I can understand why people would draw that conclusion, because there is look at what happened to women's basketball over the past 2 years. More people have spoken about women's basketball over the past 2 years than probably since the WNBA was it's been in existence. And it just is was
Well,
no disrespect to the ladies, but this was a big time for women's basketball. And look at the ratings; they shattered the records in the NCAA tournament. Look at what's going on right now with the in the stands. I told you, Eric. They told me at the Barclays Center. I'll connect at the Barclays Center. Said all of them courtside seats was gone for the season. You can't get courtside. A lot of that is attributed to what we saw with Caitlin Clark over these last 2 years.
she was picked, and when we say picked, I don't want this to be confused. Like, oh yeah, the WNBA said, yeah, she's the one. She was picked by the people because
Yeah,
one of the biggest knocks on the women's game, not just WNBA, but the women's game, is the lack of athleticism. Right? We don't have the high flyers. We don't have those type of highlights. So her style of play was perfect for what the WNBA needed. If we don't have people who can dunk and get up and down the court and create all these great highlights, then we need somebody who can shoot from distance and be Steph Curry. And that's what she was for 2 years at college. And she had a great 4 year run. But the last 2 years in college, look at the distance that she was shooting from. She's shooting logo threes. She's pulling up in transition. She's coming off the pick and roll and shooting in a way that no other woman has shot the basketball. So when we say, why was she picked? The people picked her. She was anointed by the people because they were excited to see a woman play the game in that way. And again, this is why I say Caitlin Clark is getting hate for something that she was just playing her game. Her first 2 years in college, nobody was paying attention to her. Why? Because she wasn't making deep playoff runs, and nobody watches the women's game. Nobody watches the women's game. So when she averaged 27 as a freshman, nobody paid attention. When she averaged 25 as a sophomore, nobody paid attention. When she went on a deep playoff run, a deep tournament run, that's when people started paying attention. And that's when people started saying, yo, this chick Caitlin Clark can shoot the ball. She pretty good, right? And then the Angel Reese aspect came into it, as you mentioned. What we talked about, that Magic and Bird comparison. Angel
Yep.
Reese on one side, and you have people who love what Angel Reese and her intensity and what she brings to the game. And then people who love Caitlin Clark, Middle America, being able to shoot the ball away. And of course, we can't ignore the race factor in it as well. But ultimately, Caitlin Clark was picked by the people to be as popular as she is because she can shoot the ball a way that no other woman was shooting the ball. There is no other woman that was shooting the ball from that distance the way Caitlin Clark does.
Yeah, I agree. Let me go to Imani's comment. Shout out to Imani. She says, "Did you all see Monica McNutt kill Shannon Sharp and Stephen A. Smith on First Take today? I'm sure the clip is all over the place. At the end, she left Stephen speechless." Yeah, actually, it popped up on my timeline a little bit before we logged on tonight. It was basically they were kind of the point of the league should be babying Caitlin Clark because she's the cash cow, and Monica McNutt was on the side of that's disrespect to the the hundreds of women that have laid the groundwork for the WNBA to get to where it's at for there to even be a Caitlin Clark to say just because she generates some revenue, we should just lay down and let her do whatever she wants to do. And I agree with that. I don't care who you are. Like ratings, yeah, I like a bigger check if I'm in the WNBA. But that don't mean I'm not about to continue to build my legacy and try to win championships and dominate whoever's in front of me.
So the Monica McNutt clip that I saw, shout out to Hoop Ball the Scoop, I believe that's the one he tagged us in on Facebook, was where she went at Stephen A and said that with the platform that you have and the influence you have, you could have been talking about the women's game 3 years ago. You're just now getting on that train and speaking about the women's game and then having these strong opinions about what the women's game should do when you weren't talking about it 3 years ago. So shout out to Monica McNutt, who I love on the Nick broadcast as well. She's amazing talking basketball. She is right. If Stephen A. Smith wanted to talk about the women's game, he would have 3 years ago. I'm not criticizing Stephen A. Smith because guess what? 3 years ago, we were lightly talking about the women's game here on Real Fans Real Talk. And I'm gonna keep it a buck. We wasn't dedicating this much time to the women's game 3 years ago.
No,
I'm not gonna lie. And you supporters know that
we've
we've been going live. Right. No, but even the supporters know as we've gone live the last 2+ years is when we've really got more into the women's game because we've really responded and gravitated towards the questions. Shout out to Amani, shout out to Pooh. You guys always consistently have given us questions about the women's game and challenged us to speak more about the women's game. So I'm not going to try to make it seem like we've been doing it and nobody else is doing it. That's not true. But Monica McNutt is right. On the flip side, though, I'll say this. We as fans of the sport, not only Trip and myself, but all of our supporters, we want to talk about what's hot and what's current. And we're not going to pretend like the WNBA was hot and current 3 years ago. Let's keep it a buck. There's a reason why, even in our comment section, you guys ask questions about what's hot and relevant right now in the moment. You guys aren't asking us about things that could be a storyline later down the line. Y'all not asking us about small market teams and the moves they're making. Y'all want to know about the big names and the big stories that are going on. And bigger networks like that 4-letter network, they're no different. They're going to talk about what's hot and what's relevant and what people want to talk about. There's a reason why they talk about the Dallas Cowboys so much. There's a reason why they talk about the Lakers so much, why they talk about the Knicks so much, because those topics are hot. They're lightning rod topics that get people interested.
Yeah. Is the WNBA banking on Caitlin Clark to be the savior? I love Clark, but they forcing all her games. Pause. No Diddy. I'm not even gonna finish that. But shout out to Rich Dre.
I was talking about earlier. Shout out to Rich Dre.
I wouldn't even say that. And I don't know about banking on her to be their savior, because I don't know if there's like a one individual player that could be the savior for the WNBA unless it was somebody that was jumping out the gym like Vince Carter or something like that. I think that, you know what I mean? But other than that, I don't know if one player could really do that. And again, even with Caitlin Clark, it's obviously it's a large part of that is her, but again, it's the story that goes along with it. It's a combination of things. You know what I'm saying? Like her story is always going to be attached to Angel Reese coming into the WNBA.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So I think you got to take that into consideration. So I don't think one player, even as great as Caitlin Clark is and what she was able to do at the college level, I don't think she could even be the savior. So I don't think the WNBA is banking on that. Now, are they going to use those storylines to try and build the WNBA brand as much as possible? Absolutely. Because that's what you do. The same way when the NBA wasn't doing well, they pushed that narrative of Larry Bird and Magic Johnson until a man by the name of Michael Air Jordan came along and really took it to the next level. So yeah, you capitalize off of it, but they're not banking on it as the individual of Caitlin Clark.
Yeah, I don't think they're banking on it. Trip said it perfectly. They are capitalizing on it. There was no way the WNBA was going to know 2 years ago that Caitlin Clark was going to become like this lightning rod of attention. Nobody knew that. So they weren't banking on it. I think you capitalize on it. There's interest, and this is what every sport does. It doesn't matter who you are. If there's interest, we're going to give you that. There's a reason why, to use a cross-sport reference, the Jets were the first Sunday night game of the year last year, right? Aaron Rodgers. Everybody want to talk about Aaron Rodgers? Well, guess what? We're gonna give them to you right now, prime time. And the same thing this year. First prime time game of the year, we're gonna give you out of Jets because y'all still talking about Aaron Rodgers. So that's what any league is gonna do. I think what the WNBA is banking on is that the attention from Caitlin Clark and the conversations that we continue to have about Caitlin Clark opens up everyone's eyes to the other talent within the league. Because one of the conversations we were having last year was that the buildup of two super teams, the Aces and the Liberty, was good for the WNBA because those are two major markets that now had two legitimate teams that ultimately end up meeting in the finals. Now, there were a lot of people who at the time were really interested, even though it was still a good matchup. There were a lot of people who were still kind of standoffish about the WNBA. But now Caitlin Clark, all those home and road games are sold out. So people are paying attention, and they're hoping that Caitlin Clark brings enough attention to everyone else so that the league as a whole thrives, not just Caitlin Clark.
Yeah. Ron says Juju Watkins will take the WNBA to the next level. So the narrative that I was just talking about and how the league had Bird and Magic and then Jordan came through, I think that Juju has the potential to give the WNBA a serious boost because as a freshman and everything that she's going to be able to piggyback off of with what we just saw over these last 2 years and the potential that she has to be dominating, because she's already been dominating as a freshman, but her potential and the fact that she's going to be in college for another 3 years, her profile is going to be built up so much by the time she gets to the WNBA draft that I think she will be able to give the WNBA a crazy, crazy boost when she ultimately gets into the league.
My only concern with Juju, I think she's a supreme talent. The only concern though is not how you start, is how you end. And because she's so hot right now, we know what's going to happen, Trip. They're going to start to pick apart her game and pick apart every aspect of her as it goes on.
Especially if she doesn't
And
win the championship.
right. And Ron and everybody else, we can love Juju as much as we want now. But I'm going to tell you right now, if she gets to her junior year and she has not played in a national championship, y'all going to start to criticize and question her.
Absolutely.
Because that's what we do with every athlete. And that's why I say it's not how you start, it's how you finish. Caitlin Clark had the benefit of, and maybe not the benefit, but it played out perfectly for her because she was hottest her last 2 years of college. If the roles were reversed and she had gone to 2 back-to-back national championships her first 2 years and then faded down the stretch, the limelight would have been dimmed by then and we wouldn't have been as interested. But because it played out the way it did and she got hotter as her college career went on, it drew more interest. Juju's got to maintain this right now because, like I said, if we get to that junior year, even that senior year, and she hasn't played in a national championship, we're going to start to question, well, where does her legacy land? Is she that great because she hasn't played in a national championship? Can she elevate her teammates? Is she a one-trick pony? These are all the questions that are going to present themselves. And this is a old narrative that we see all the time with players. We love them in the beginning, and the moment they don't win enough, we start to pick them apart and critique them.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me go to. I got you, Imani. Don't worry. Let me ask both of you: is Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark anything you've ever seen? If we're talking about like their games, no, I think we've seen it before, this style of play. But if we're talking about their storyline, then I think the only other time we've seen that would be Magic and Bird. But no, as far as their games go, like it's not. I didn't see either one of these two coming into the league and kicking the door, waving the 4-4 right out the gate, and it's like, oh shoot, what the? I didn't expect that from either one of these two because of how competitive the WNBA is. So no, yeah, we've seen it before. I do hope they do well, and I believe that both of them will have success at that level. But well, we've seen it before. We have.
I think in terms of storyline, yeah, it's Magic and Bird. As I mentioned, not only the race factor, but also that they met in a championship game in college, just like Magic and Bird. They're in the same draft class, just like Magic and Bird, and it creates this natural rivalry that started in college and progresses into the WNBA. And then you just hope that both women are able that success, where maybe they have a couple classic matchups at the next level. But other than storyline, no, because there really hasn't been any other players who've had to go head to head with their rival, their college rival at the next level. A lot of times it just doesn't manifest that way. So storyline, yeah, in terms of play, I think we've seen players that have similar. So I don't think that's any different. But the storyline is what's the most unique. It's the first in the women's game, I think.
Okay, Monty got one more question for you, Eric. Who hates Caitlin Clark? I'm interested in why you think people hate her because the hard fouls.
Well, no, I said earlier, I feel like this has become a narrative now that's been created. I don't think the players hate Caitlin Clark. I think that they're just natural competitors. And whoever's across the court from me is who I'm going to compete against. I think the players are tired of hearing from reporters who are creating this narrative of like, oh, you guys are really going after Caitlin Clark. You guys are really zoned in and locked in on her. And the players are trying to say, we would do that against anybody. We would compete against whoever's in front of us. It just happens to be Caitlin Clark. So I personally don't think anyone hates Caitlin Clark. I think the players are just competing. This is the initiation process every rookie goes through, and she's going to have to deal with it. I have no problem with the hard fouls. I said that earlier when somebody had mentioned about should the league be doing more to protect her. How would you protect her? There is no way to protect her. The game is the game.
Yeah.
And Will, hold on to Will. I saw Will's comment. So Bird, his rights were selected the year before, but he didn't go until the same year that Magic did. Back then, the draft was different. So the Celtics had Bird's rights early because back then you could pay for the rights before actually a player was in the draft.
Yeah. Well, you gotta watch the just the show on HBO, man. You have to catch up. They talked about all of that, man. Where we at with this one? Let me go to Ron. Will either one, Reese Clark, make the USA women's team? It's funny they haven't announced the team with a month before training camp. I don't think either one of them deserves to make the USA women's team. And if they did put one or both of them on, I think it would more so be just to kind of boost the numbers, boost the stats, because you know they're playing okay, both of them, but it ain't like I'm not like these both they need to be starting in the All-Star game. You know what I mean? Like we still I think we still have to put a lot of respect on the players that have been in the WNBA for years kicking butt. Like we can't just because it's Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark and the story is so amazing. We can't just throw them on Team USA. Like I still feel like that's something that you earn. Like you don't just get to be like that's a winning the Olympics and going to the Olympics and repping your country. That's a big deal in the Olympics, but you should earn that. It is something we just here because you popular right now. Let's just give it to you. You gotta go by play, and even though as rookies they're playing decent, they right now from what I've seen from both of them, they're not. They should not be on Team USA.
I agree. If they are on a team, it is purely for marketing purposes. I think both women should decline if they get the invite because it has been a very like a quick turnaround for both of them, right? Deep playoff runs. You start your WNBA season within a month of your other season ending. They didn't really get an opportunity to acclimate themselves to the WNBA game and the lifestyle. They kind of just went straight from college into the league, literally. And I think what would be best for both of them is to take the time off in the off season to kind of recoup and get ready for the next season, as opposed to then adding on more basketball, more training, more intensity, especially Angel Reese too. I mean, we talk about Caitlin Clark, but Angel Reese had 2 back-to-back deep tournament runs, and with the publicity that she gained over the last 2 years, I think she deserves a break. I think Caitlin Clark should take a break as well.
And they both got time because I do genuinely feel like both of them can have long careers in the WNBA as long as they stay healthy, because we're seeing the potential, like outside of the turnovers with Caitlin Clark, she's playing some really good basketball. Obviously, they're not winning. Same thing with Angel Reese is damn near averaging a double. You know what I mean? So the potential is there. They're gonna get better. They have plenty of time to make the All-Star team, the Team USA. And I think in 4 years, when the Olympics comes back around, they would have earned their spots on Team USA, and nobody's gonna have anything to say about why they shouldn't. You know what I'm saying? Be on the team, because right now, again, yeah, it's just the popularity of it. If you put them on right now, neither of them has played to that level where they should be
Right.
repping Team USA.
Right.
This is again the women's team is maybe the most dominant basketball team of all time. Like because of like how it for years it hasn't been close since dating back to when the dream team was around. Like when the women's get like it has not been close, and it still is not close. It might be the most dominant team, so you really got to put your work in to get to that spot. While we're talking Olympics, let me go to Will Gordon's comment. Kyrie not being on the Olympic team is crazy, by the way. When we spoke about this a couple of weeks ago, obviously a lot of the controversy with Kyrie is going to be a factor in that. Eric, you mentioned earlier that he has begun to turn that legacy around with the playoff run that he's on, and I do feel like if the Mavericks win a championship, and let's just say the rosters hadn't been picked before this season, I think Kyrie would have got the nod because I mean, especially over Kawhi Leonard, who's somebody. I mean, we really haven't seen like that in the past couple of years to just be like, all right, like he deserves that spot on Team USA roster. You know what I mean? Like I think Kyrie definitely should have been on. I think he should have been on the team either way. But if they hadn't picked the team just yet, and this we saw this whole run and how the storylines and narratives around Kyrie have changed, I think he's on the team.
Possible. We may get some couple guys that drop out late just to recover. But we knew from jump Kyrie was deserving, but it was gonna be a lot for Team USA to make him a part of the team and then have to deal with the constant questions about, the way Kyrie conducted himself in Brooklyn, the way he conducted himself in Boston. And they just didn't want to deal with that. They didn't want the distraction. So I think Kyrie has done a lot to change his image and change the way that he's viewed within the sport. Maybe he does get the call because I think Kawhi and I think Joel Embiid are two possible guys that might drop out just for rest purposes this summer. So maybe Kyrie still gets the call. Who knows? But we knew from the jump it was going to be very difficult for him to be selected.
Yeah. I'm gonna put Pooh's comment up there because I believe this was in reference to the Jabari Parker dialogue that we were having earlier, and I like this comment. She says, "See if this makes sense. Maybe in that moment he felt like a failure. Remember, he was the man over Giannis, and injuries hurt him, so maybe all of it hit him. That could have definitely played a part in it, And we see that happen all the time, where a guy is the man, and then injuries start to happen, and then just like that, I think the perfect example of that is Danny Granger in Indiana, who was the man. Injury started kicking his butt, and then Paul George just kind of emerged and took off, and that was all she wrote. So
Yeah.
And that can be hard. That can be a hard, hard hit to come back from mentally. When you think you're the apex and you're the alpha. And again, we ain't talking about Giannis that we know and love right now. He's that was younger Giannis who wasn't, NBA champion yet, back to back MVP and all of that. So I could definitely see that. Shout out to Pooh for that comment. Thank you for that one.
It's a great comment. I agree with it. I think that played a factor in as well. Like I said, he probably was reflecting back and like this isn't how I saw the journey going.
Exactly. Let me throw Cliff's question up here. Shout out to Cliff. Y'all, Cliff is our technical director. Even though he in DC right now, he always gonna be the Real Fans Real Talk technical director, man. That man got a lot of awards. Helped us to get to a lot of awards for the show, a lot of television awards. I think we're on 8 right now, and Cliff was a big part of 6 of those television awards as our leader in production. So big shout out to Cliff. I might be wrong, but I think the WNBA takes a break during the All-Star break for the Olympics. Then they come back for the second half of the season. I feel like that did happen before, if I'm not mistaken.
It probably is because their season runs into the summer, and obviously that's when the Olympics take place.
Yeah.
So even more so, Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark should take the time off.
Facts. Let me while we're talking about that, this is something I want to bring to your attention, Eric. So Brianna Stewart and Nafisa Collier, they are launching a women's pro 3-on-3 league. It's supposed to be starting January 2025. Do they got to pay my man Ice Cube some tax on that?
I don't think so. I mean, Cube wasn't the originator of a 3-on-3. There was some other like low key.
He made it famous.
Yeah. But the big 3, yes, it was propelled to a different level with Cube and what he was able to solidify, because he was able to solidify major arenas and the marketing and television contracts. But I don't think maybe they working in conjunction with him. Maybe he's helping them solidify the arenas and the advertisers and sponsors.
Well, listen, either way, Stewie said they're going to be getting 6-figure checks, which is higher than anything coming into the WNBA. So I like that. I want to see how long this is supposed to run. But I love it. I love it for the ladies. And if what I think is going to happen happens, I'm all for this, because because I really wanted to be where, the teams are put together and you can get the 5, that you want, obviously 3 to start and then 2 to come off the bench. We can have a tournament here. If this thing like really pans out, I think this has a lot of potential. I'm interested in seeing how things go.
This could be a major threat to the WNBA. Now, I know they're not working on the same calendar as the WNBA, but if they're able to pull in that type of money, and like you said, and then it's like there's not an affiliation to a team, it's kind of like we can just show up without 5. I think that changes the dynamics tremendously. it'll be interesting to see how all this plays out. Like what type of schedule they're working on. Is this just something that's going on for like 6 weeks, or is it extended? Because even if it's like a 4 to 6 week thing, I think a lot of the women will be interested, and they won't have to go overseas to play during their off season. They could
That
stay
I think is going to be the big key,
right
because now you would have that, and then obviously
with
it's not going to with the WNBA season,
correct.
but the WNBA season will follow right after. So that could change things a lot and keep the women's basketball over here longer and growing, because now you can see the stars more often. I'd love to see the women in the 3-on-3 tournament. I think that'd be
I
dope.
agree.
We got to send our condolences. We lost a legend, an NBA legend, Bill Walton, this past week. So we got to send our condolences out to his family and friends. And also, we have to send our prayers up for NBA Hall of Famer Alonzo Mourning. He's recovering. He has prostate cancer. So we got to send our prayers up for him. Wishing you a speedy recovery. For Zoe. Okay. And we gotta talk about it. Before we get up out of here, we gotta talk a little bit of boxing. Deontay Wilder, who is, that's extended family to the show. Um, had a really great run, 10 straight title defenses at the heavyweight level. He did get knocked out, lost to Big Zhang this past weekend. He said going into the fight that if he didn't win, this was probably going to be his last fight. Um, I for one am, if it is, I'm going to miss Deontay Wilder, because he showed us so much love when we went down to Alabama and spent a couple of hours with us, for the show, during the interview, just chopping it up. Shout out to him and JD's as well. But what I love the most about him, one, was he's a God-fearing man, and he Deontay's like a motivational speaker. Like, he can get you hyped up. Like, he's one of those type of guys. And I love, he did what he said he was gonna do for his daughter, who was dealing with some health issues, and he managed to climb to the top of the heavyweight division while being a late bloomer, so to speak, in the sport of boxing. Because he wasn't most of the guys that we see as, these all-time greats have been boxing at least since their preteens, and going up onto the amateurs and into the pro level. Deontay was a late bloomer. He came on late, but he did manage to get a bronze medal in the Olympics, and he did work his way all the way up to the WBC heavyweight championship belt, and had 10 title defenses before he ultimately lost to Tyson Fury. So much love and respect to Deontay Wilder.
I completely agree, and it was a very, very good career, as you mentioned, because he started boxing so late. For him to reach the heights that he did were amazing. Unfortunately, with the sport of boxing, this is how it normally ends for most guys. Very few guys go out on top. Very few guys are able to just walk away from the sport, at the top of their game. A lot of times you continue to chase that glory. And, I don't knock him. I know he tried to put his best foot forward. Obviously, the second fight, more specifically, the first one with Tyson Fury, I think he was more shocked that Tyson Fury kept getting up. The second fight, the first one, there was a couple of times where it looked like Tyson Fury had no business even still being awake, let alone getting up off the canvas, and he did. And I think mentally, Deontay Wilder just couldn't understand why this guy, he couldn't put him away. The second fight, Deontay Wilder took a really bad beating in that one, and he was never the same from that point on. And I think one of the biggest what ifs with the end of Deontay Wilder's career, not the peak and not the prime when he was the champion, but obviously was his split from JD's and Mark Breland in his corner. It just seemed to be different for him as a fighter, and he tried to kind of reinvent himself as somebody who wanted to be more like a boxing oriented as opposed to a puncher. And we always knew the biggest threat with Deontay Wilder was that right hand. It wasn't his boxing skill, it wasn't the footwork, it was the fact that he had that one hit quitter. And when he brought in new cornermen, it's almost like he lost his identity. He forgot who he was and wanted to try to reinvent himself, and it never really worked out for him.
It was too late. his career to
It
try
was
to.
way too late. Yeah, it was way too late. And I meant to, it was a hectic weekend this weekend, but I meant to text you, Trip, because when I saw the weight for this fight, and he was giving up damn near 70 pounds to Big Zane, it reminded me of what we talked about with the Tyson Fury fight. I'm like, there's no way you cannot do this to yourself again. You're fighting somebody just mass wise who's just too big for you. Pause. You're not going to be able to sustain that power as the fight goes on. And we saw it. The fifth round, he gets clipped with a shot that's literally spun him around, and he lost all his his functions at that point, and then gets knocked out. But again, a very, very good career. I don't want to focus on just this loss. Very good career, made a great living for himself, did well by his family, did right by his family, man. And I hope he's a very entertaining person. So I hope now that he's able to pivot and transition onto the other side of the sport and work with some analysts, and then do some TV work, because he is always a quotable athlete. He's very entertaining.
Yeah, and what you were saying about the weight, Eric, that's what I was saying a couple of weeks ago in regard to the heavyweight division. There's no other division where, like, remember, we literally had the discussion of whether or not Haney should still fight Ryan Garcia, and he was only 3.5 pounds over the weight. And your last two fights, well, 2 out of your last 3 were fights of guys that one was 30 to 40 pounds heavier than you, and one was damn near 70 pounds heavier than you. Like, if Tyson Fury is 10 pounds less, baby, he's not getting up from that punch.
Maybe.
But when you got guys that are that bigger than you, it's a lot harder, even with the power that you have. Like, you got a guy that's 70 pounds heavier than you. Like, come on, man.
I'm telling you, man. It's people don't realize, like, it really takes a toll on you after those first 3 or 4 rounds, because that's when you realize the little intricacies of the sport. The tying up, the grappling, laying on somebody for a few seconds. The more and more I got to keep pushing you off me, and the more and more I got to kind of, exert energy that's unnecessary. It's going to take a toll on my legs later in the fight. And that was one of the things that always hurt Deontay Wilder in the Tyson Fury fights. We always saw him later in the fights look more gassed. And he never
and you lose
was
that
the same.
power. You don't have that same power.
Right. You lose that power. The shots coming back your way are different now, because you got to absorb more power from somebody who's so much bigger than you. And he never, man, was the same. After the Tyson Fury loss, you could tell. He got a little timid. You could tell he just wouldn't let his hands go as much. There were too many times, even in the most recent fight, where his corner's telling him, you got to be more active. Yeah, you got to be more active. And he became more timid the moment that invincibility got knocked off him.
And it wasn't even like, because with the fight before this one, when the 5-on-5 thing, it wasn't even like I felt his opponent was like that much better than Deontay. But Deontay just wasn't trying to punch. It was like he was in his mind, and that's it. But again, shout out to Deontay Wilder. That's always going to be the fam. I still bet we had a good run with the Deontay Wilder drop at the beginning of the show. We had a couple of years, and every show I kept remembering, every time Deontay had a fight, I kept thinking, damn, this might be the time where we got to take this intro off. And then it finally happened with the Fury fight. But again, shout out to Deontay Wilder. Let me get this last question. Shout out to Will Gordon. 2 quick NFL notes before y'all wrap. Shout out to Justin Jefferson, resetting the wide receiver market with $110 million guaranteed. I think the total was 140, right? If I'm not mistaken, that he got.
Something like that.
And rest in peace to the great Larry Allen, member of 2 all-decade teams. There you go. That's them Cowboys. See? Cowboys, you know what I'm saying? In the rundown again, we gotta talk because we a legend. But rest in peace to Larry Allen. Eric, give us a final thought, man.
Well, obviously, rest in peace to Larry Allen, one of the greatest offensive linemen the game has ever seen. Shout out to Justin Jefferson for getting that bag. I made a little face a minute ago when you mentioned how much guaranteed money, because what's going to end up happening in 2 years when he requests a trade, he's going to have to rework that contract. That's what's going to happen. He's not going to be there much longer, but he got the bag. Yeah, he got the bag now, which was important. Get the bag now, and then you figure out later on where I'm going to be playing. But first and foremost, shout out to the supporters. As always, you guys never disappoint. You never fail us. You show up. You guys are here earlier than us sometimes, and then you continue to flood the comment section. So we greatly appreciate it. Trip, I'm letting you know. Will, I'm going to send you a message as well. Thursday night, I'm going live as a pregame before game 1 tip-off. We're
Okay.
gonna do some gambling, talking. We got tickets to put in, Trip. So
Okay.
7:30 on Thursday, the Sanchez show will be live. I'm hoping to have my brothers with me on there as well, so we can get into some of the storylines and some of the things we're expecting to see not only in game one, but throughout the series. So I'm inviting the supporters to join us and send all of your questions in for game one of the NBA Finals. Again, this Thursday, 7:30, the Sanchez show will be back. And what else we got?
First of all, shout out to us because I think we got through pretty much all of the comments. If I didn't post it up because we talked about it, so that's the only reason why I'm going to put on the screen.
I got it. And last but certainly not least, Trip, my brother, you've seen it. You know me for a very long time. I am a very proud girl dad. 2 beautiful daughters. My oldest daughter graduated high school last week. She made her announcement this past Saturday at a family function as to what college she'll be attending in the fall. So shout out to her for continuing to make me proud. If any of you guys follow me on social media in the past, you've seen me. I labeled her as my assistant when I used to bring her into the studio with me. But obviously, she's more than my assistant. You know what I'm saying? But shout out to my daughter, Leilani, on all of her accomplishments this past year and as she progresses into college next fall.
Congratulations. Uncle Ant is proud of you too. So big congrats. We done had our feuds going back and forth over the years talking basketball, but that's my little homie, and I'm very proud of her and everything that she's accomplished. And I'm proud of you, Eric, as well, for being a great father and getting your daughter to that point and getting the next one up and ready to get to that journey as well. You and Sash. So congratulations to both of you guys as
Thank
well.
You, my brother.
Let me say this before we get up out of it. Oh, I would be remiss if I didn't do this. I gotta send some birthday love to the family. Emerald, her birthday is tomorrow, but we're gonna be on the air today, so I gotta send her that birthday shout out today. Happy birthday, Em. We love you. I'm gonna see you soon because I'm gonna be out in LA this summer, so I'm gonna see you real soon.
Definitely shout out to Em.
Oh, and baseball been good to me. Best team in the
been good
league.
To me.
New York.
It ain't been good to me.
Shout out to the Yankees, man. Make sure you guys are following us on all our social media: Instagram, Twitter at Real Fan Talk, Facebook.com/Real Fans Real Talk, and subscribe to that YouTube channel, YouTube.com/For the Fans Productions. And don't worry if you're not in New York City and you can't watch us on Thursday nights from 8 to 9 p.m. on Verizon 43. All you got to do is click that red button on the homepage at realfansrealtalk.com, and you can watch from anywhere in the world. And make sure that you guys subscribe to the 2 best podcasts out here moving. That's the Sanchez Show and the Real Fans Real Talk podcast, because we're streaming on all major platforms. So you got to love it, man. We outside. We've been outside, and we ain't going nowhere. We're going to be here for a while. Balling for Peace. Make sure you guys get them tickets. Balling for Peace is going down June 15th. The roster is starting to get crazy with people that are going to be at this game. So you better be there on time. There's a couple of surprises. Remember, Whoopi was a surprise last year, okay? The Queen was a surprise last year. H2O got some more surprises this year. You know what I'm saying? So make sure you guys get them tickets. And shout out to the Rosado firm, because they back rocking with us again as we put on this year's dunk contest for Balling for Peace. With that being said, for myself, Trip Young, and my brother, Eric Sanchez, a.k.a. Legend in 2 Games, we up out of here. Peace.